The massive screen on the bridge of the EDF Intrepid lit up with an incoming transmission, bathing the crew in an eerie purple glow. Commander Raj Singh looked up from his coffee mug, the steam still rising from his fourth cup of the morning shift. The message header alone took up half the screen, filled with so many fancy titles and honorifics that it looked like someone had thrown a dictionary at it. "Should we wake up Admiral Thompson?" Lieutenant Yu asked, her finger hovering over the alert button. "Nah, let her sleep," Raj said, settling deeper into his chair. "If it's important enough, they'll send another one without all the—" He waved his hand at the screen. Space confetti. The message finally finished downloading, revealing what had to be the most over-decorated piece of communication humanity had ever received. Gold borders surrounded every paragraph, and some kind of alien script sparkled in at least 12 different colors. "Is this a surrender demand or a wedding invitation?" Communications Officer Park snorted, adjusting his glasses. The bridge crew gathered around as Raj began reading aloud. "To the primitive and undoubtedly awestruck species of Sol 3, known to your limited understanding as Earth. We, the grand celestial hegemony of the 7 spiral arms, holders of the eternal flame of Xathor, guardians of the ancient ways, children of the first light." He paused, taking another sip of coffee. "There's 3 more pages of titles. Someone want to skip to the good part?" Lieutenant Yu quickly scrolled through the document. "Basically, they're saying surrender now or face total annihilation. Standard stuff. Oh, and they've attached a guide on proper genuflection techniques for when we inevitably bow before their superior might." Did they seriously send us a PowerPoint presentation on how to grovel? Tactical Officer Patel leaned in closer, her eyes widening. "With clip art. Those aren't even good transitions between slides," Park added, now thoroughly invested in the alien surrender demands presentation quality. "They're still using star wipe effects. That's just embarrassing." Raj set down his coffee and straightened in his chair, trying to maintain some semblance of professional decorum. It lasted about 3 seconds before he caught sight of an animated GIF of what was presumably supposed to be a terrifying alien warship, but looked more like a disco ball with engines. "All right, people," he managed between chuckles. "Let's draft a response. Keep it professional. No memes." He paused. "Well, maybe one meme. As a treat." "Sir." Yu raised her hand, barely containing her grin. "Permission to include that classic 'You have no power here' template from Lord of the Rings." "Denied. We're saving that one for when they actually show up." Raj turned to his crew, all of whom were fighting back smiles. "Now, who wants to help me write the most politely worded come and get it response in human history?" The next hour on the bridge of the Intrepid was filled with barely suppressed laughter as they crafted their reply. They kept it short, sweet, and just formal enough to be technically diplomatic, while making it clear that humanity wasn't exactly quaking in their space boots. To the extremely well-titled representatives of the grand celestial hegemony, Raj read their final draft aloud. "Thank you for your detailed communication and thoughtful instructions regarding proper surrender protocols. We have forwarded your presentation to our relevant departments for review. However, we regret to inform you that Earth is currently fully booked with other activities for the foreseeable future and will be unable to accommodate an invasion at this time. Perhaps we could interest you in a nice game of chess instead. Warmest regards, Humanity. Teza, your PowerPoint skills need work." As they sent the message, Officer Park pulled up the ship's external cameras. "Think they'll respond right away?" "Oh, they'll definitely respond," Raj said, settling back with a fresh cup of coffee. "The real question is whether they'll get the chess reference." The crew spent the next few minutes speculating on the alien response, while Lieutenant Yu started a betting pool on how many exclamation points their next message would contain. The calm before the storm was filled with jokes and laughter, humanity's age-old defense mechanism against fear and uncertainty working its magic. Deep down, they all knew this was probably the beginning of something big, maybe even the biggest challenge humanity had ever faced. But as Raj looked around at his crew, professionals who could face down an alien empire with jokes and movie references, he couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The hegemony had probably expected fear, panic, or at least a proper show of respect for their mighty empire. Instead, they got humanity at its finest, irreverent, undaunted, and absolutely refusing to take themselves too seriously, even in the face of potential annihilation. "Sir," you called out suddenly, "we're getting another transmission. This one's even longer." "Here we go," Raj grinned, turning to face the main screen. "Let's see how they handle a little human humor." The screen lit up again, and the bridge erupted in laughter before anyone could even read the first line. The hegemony had somehow managed to add even more sparkles to their message format. As Earth's first line of defense sat there, giggling at what was supposed to be a terrifying alien empire, none of them knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson. Never try to intimidate a species that had turned sarcasm into an art form. Admiral Thompson found them like that an hour later. The entire bridge crew crowded around the screen, tears of laughter streaming down their faces as they drafted increasingly ridiculous responses to the hegemony's increasingly frustrated messages. She took one look at the situation, read the latest alien message, and simply said, "Make sure you spell check this time. We want them to know we're making fun of them on purpose." And that's how humanity's first interstellar conflict began, not with a bang, but with a well-placed meme and a grammar joke. The UN Assembly Hall buzzed with excitement as diplomats from every nation gathered to meet humanity's first alien ambassador. High Lord Zex Flak of the hegemony had chosen Earth's primary governing body for their grand entrance, probably expecting rows of trembling humans ready to accept their rule. What they got instead was Commissioner Lee live streaming the whole thing on her phone while Ambassador Kumar played space-themed music through the hall's speakers. Did they seriously paint their shuttle in chrome? Commissioner Lee whispered, zooming in on the landing pad. "It's like a disco ball with wings." The massive doors swung open, and in walked, or rather, floated, High Lord Zex Flak. They wore what looked like every piece of jewelry in their empire at once, creating a tinkling sound with each movement. Their ceremonial robes billowed dramatically despite the complete lack of wind. "Greetings, primitive." Zex Flak began, their translator booming through the hall. "Sorry to interrupt," Ambassador Kumar cut in smoothly, "but we've had quite enough of the primitive business in your messages. Also, did you know your translator is set to dramatic villain mode? There's probably a volume button somewhere on that thing." The alien ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. This was clearly not going according to their script. "We are here to discuss the terms of your inevitable integration into the galactic community," Kumar finished cheerfully. "Wonderful. We've prepared some team-building exercises to break the ice. Anyone up for paintball?" The silence that followed was broken only by muffled giggles from the Earth delegates and the continuous clicking of phones capturing what would soon become the galaxy's most viral diplomatic meeting. "This is not a game." Zex Flak's voice boomed, though someone had helpfully adjusted their translator to a more reasonable volume. "We are the mighty hegemony." "And we're Earth," Commissioner Lee replied, already adding filters to her latest post. "Nice to meet you. By the way, your entrance would have been more impressive with some background music. Next time, try Thus Spoke Zarathustra, you know, the one from Space Odyssey." The alien diplomat's color shifted from its natural purple to something closer to fuchsia. "You dare mock?" "Mock? Never." Kumar gasped in exaggerated shock. "We're simply suggesting ways to improve your presentation. Speaking of which, we reviewed your PowerPoint about surrender protocols. Our design team has some notes." A young diplomat in the back row raised their hand. "The star-wiped transitions have got to go." Zex Flak's entourage began whispering among themselves, clearly unprepared for humans who treated their grand diplomatic mission like a corporate workshop in need of updating. Perhaps Zex Flak tried again, their voice strained, You fail to grasp the gravity of your situation. Oh, we grasp it. Kumar smiled warmly. We just think that if we're going to be dealing with each other, we might as well have some fun with it. Now, about that paintball match. We've already set up the course. Your team against ours. Winner gets to pick the music for the next meeting. As the Earth delegation broke into enthusiastic discussion about team colors and whether using neon paint would be considered psychological warfare, High Lord Zexthlak stood there, mouth slightly agape, watching their carefully planned intimidation tactics crumble in the face of humanity's unconquerable sense of humor. Somewhere in the back of the hall, someone started playing Another One Bites the Dust. The Earth delegates nodded appreciatively at the choice. Diplomatic relations with the hegemony were off to an interesting start, and humanity wouldn't have it any other way. The hegemony's fleet emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter's orbit, 500 ships strong. Their war vessels gleamed like polished silver in the gas giant's light, arranged in a perfect geometric formation that probably looked amazing on their recruitment posters. They're here. At the United Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Rodriguez stared at the presentation screen with a mix of amusement and disbelief. Let me get this straight, he said, looking at the team of cultural specialists before him. Instead of developing bigger weapons, you want to launch memes into space. Dr. Chen adjusted her glasses with a grin. Not just memes, sir. Operation Party Crasher is a full-spectrum cultural assault. Think of it as weaponized fun. The screen behind her showed their first target, a hegemony colony world where young aliens were already secretly watching pirated Earth entertainment. Their leadership keeps their population in line through fear and rigid control. Technical Director Singh explained, pulling up another slide. But we've noticed their younger generation is fascinated by Earth culture. They're already sharing our music in underground channels. Last week, someone leaked the entire Never Gonna Give You Up video onto their military network. Lieutenant Patil added. Their communications went crazy for 3 hours trying to figure out if it was a secret code. The Admiral leaned back in his chair, trying not to laugh. So instead of fighting their warships, we make their empire collapse under the weight of pop culture and dad jokes, Dr. Chen finished. They can't maintain their image of terrifying superiority if their own citizens are doing Earth TikTok dances. Operation Party Crasher launched the next day. Small stealth drones slipped through the hegemony's defense networks, carrying what looked like normal data packets. Instead, they contained Earth's most powerful weapon, entertainment. Within a week, reports started flowing in. A group of young hegemony officers had been caught recreating famous Earth movie scenes in their barracks. Several high-ranking officials complained that their children were using human slang during formal ceremonies. Sir, Lieutenant Patil burst into the command center one morning, tablet in hand. You need to see this. The screen lit up with footage from a hegemony military parade. Everything started normally, until the music changed. Suddenly, hundreds of young aliens broke formation and began dancing to Uptown Funk. It gets better, Dr. Chen said, barely containing her excitement. Check their underground social networks. The next images showed hegemony teenagers secretly sharing Earth memes, dubbed versions of human shows, and even attempting to recreate Earth food. One particularly popular video showed an alien trying to explain pizza to their confused parents. Their leadership is in complete chaos, Singh reported, scrolling through intercepted communications. They can't figure out how to stop their kids from saying bro during official ceremonies. The final straw came when a group of young hegemony nobles released their own music video. It featured them wearing Earth-style clothes, dancing to a mix of their traditional music and Earth pop, with lyrics that not so subtly questioned their empire's rigid hierarchy. The best part, Dr. Chen said, pulling up one last report. Their attempts to ban Earth culture are backfiring spectacularly. Every time they declare something off-limits, it instantly becomes trending across their networks. Admiral Rodriguez looked at the latest statistics with satisfaction. The hegemony's fearsome reputation was crumbling, not under the force of weapons, but through jokes, songs, and the unstoppable force of cultural exchange. Should we push harder? Patil asked, already working on the next phase. Oh yes, the Admiral smiled. Time to introduce them to cat videos. As the team dispersed to continue their unique form of warfare, Dr. Chen paused at the door. Sir, the hegemony just issued another threat message. What does it say this time? They're demanding we stop making their empire look uncool. She couldn't help but laugh. I think we're winning. In a converted basement at Earth Defense Headquarters, a team of hackers hunched over their screens, surrounded by empty energy drink cans and half-eaten snacks. They called themselves the Meme Team, much to the military's dismay. I'm in, whispered Raj, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He paused, then grinned. I've always wanted to say that. Director Zhang rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smile. What did you find? Their entire communication network is running on something like Space Windows 95. It's beautiful. Raj wiped away a fake tear. They never updated their security protocols because no one ever dared to hack them before. The team had spent weeks analyzing the hegemony's networks, looking for a way in. What they found was better than they could have imagined. An empire so convinced of its superiority that it never considered anyone would dare to infiltrate their systems. Should we shut it down? Lieutenant Nguyen asked, already preparing their cyber weapons. Nah, Raj leaned back in his chair, a mischievous glint in his eyes. I've got a better idea. Remember those old reality TV shows? And that's how Keeping Up with the Hegemony was born. Instead of destroying the network, they hijacked it for something far more devastating. Entertainment. Every screen across the empire suddenly started broadcasting a reality show about their own conflict with Earth, complete with dramatic music and commentary. Today on Keeping Up with the Hegemony, the announcer's voice boomed across thousands of alien worlds. Watch as High Commander Volthak tries to explain to the Imperial Council why their fearsome battle fleet was defeated by ships playing "Never Gonna Give You Up" on repeat. The viewing numbers were astronomical. Aliens across the galaxy tuned in to watch their supposedly terrifying leaders fumble through encounters with humans who treated galactic conquest like a game show. We're getting fan mail, Lieutenant Nguyen announced, scrolling through messages. A lot of other species think we're hilarious. Some are asking if they can join our team. The show's highlight reel included gems like, that time, a hegemony battle group got distracted by cat videos mid-invasion. The now famous dance battle incident, where human diplomats challenged alien officials to a competition. Behind-the-scenes footage of alien commanders trying to understand human memes. Breaking news. The latest episode began. Watch as the hegemony's elite guard discovers Earth's most dangerous weapon, dad jokes. The footage showed a confused alien security team trying to determine if "Hi hungry, I'm Dad" was some kind of encrypted message. We need a sponsor, Raj suddenly announced. Every good show has one. Director Zhang stared at him. You want to get a sponsor for our psychological warfare campaign? Already got one. Lieutenant Nguyen chimed in. Remember that alien snack company that started making Earth-inspired flavors? They want in. The next broadcast opened with, this invasion attempt was brought to you by Six Nor's Crunchy Bits, now available in pizza flavor. The hegemony's attempts to regain control of their network only provided more entertainment. Every time they tried to shut down a broadcast, it would pop up on 3 more channels, now with added commentary and funny sound effects. They're calling for an emergency council meeting, Raj reported, watching the encrypted channels. Apparently, their kids are giving them 1-star reviews as galactic overlords. Director Zhang couldn't help but laugh. Keep it going, but maybe ease up on the laugh track during their threatening speeches. No promises, Raj grinned, queuing up the next episode. The galaxy needs to know that their terrifying empire gets its battle plans from old action movies. As the team prepared their next broadcast, one thing became clear. The hegemony's biggest mistake wasn't underestimating Earth's military might. It was failing to realize that humans could turn anything, even an alien invasion, into primetime entertainment. Hegemony's Grand Council Chamber, once a place of hushed whispers and fearful bowing, now echoed with something completely alien to its ancient walls: laughter. High Commander Volthak stared in horror at the latest reports streaming in from across the Empire. "This is unprecedented," he sputtered, his ceremonial robes quivering with indignation. "The Zixnor species, they're refusing to bow. They're just waving and saying hi instead." "That's not the worst part," Junior Council member Devra added, trying desperately to maintain her composure. "The Krillix have started their own comedy clubs. They're doing stand-up routines about us. Across the Empire, the unthinkable was happening. Species that had lived under the hegemony's iron-fisted rule for centuries were discovering something revolutionary: the power of not taking their overlords seriously. On the desert world of Krillix Prime, a resistance meeting was taking place in an underground cafe. But instead of plotting violent uprising, they were practicing something far more devastating: satire. "Why did the High Commander cross the nebula?" a young Krillix asked, their antennae twitching with excitement. "Because their maps were as outdated as their fashion sense." The cafe erupted in chittering laughter. In the back, a group of elderly Krillix shook their heads, but their eyes twinkled with barely suppressed amusement. Meanwhile, on the oceanic planet of Zixnor, the morning ritual of prostrating before the hegemony's flag had turned into an impromptu dance party. Security forces arrived to find the entire population doing the Macarena instead of their traditional gestures of submission. "We're not rebelling," the Zixnor local leader explained innocently. "We're just reinterpreting the traditional movements, very respectfully, with better music." Back on Earth, the United Defense Council received these reports with growing satisfaction. "The hegemony's having an identity crisis," Lieutenant Paddle reported, scrolling through intercepted communications. "They can't figure out how to intimidate people who keep turning their threats into memes." Admiral Lee nodded thoughtfully. "How's that Galactic talent show going?" "Galaxy's Got Talent is trending across 17 star systems," Director Chen replied. "The Krillix comedy duo is favored to win. Their impression of the High Commander trying to use Earth slang is apparently hilarious. The revolution spread not with weapons, but with jokes." The hegemony's attempts to maintain control only provided more material for increasingly creative forms of mockery. When they sent threatening messages, they were turned into musical remixes. When they demanded respect, they got TikTok challenges instead. Their grand military parades were met with flash mobs. "Sir," Lieutenant Patel burst into the command center one morning, "the hegemony's youth leadership program just, well, you need to see this." The screen showed hundreds of young aliens from the Empire's most elite families performing a choreographed dance routine to Imperial March, but with kazoos instead of the usual orchestral music. "They're calling it Imperial Spark Joy," Paddle explained, trying not to laugh. "It's apparently a movement to make the Empire fun again." The final blow to the hegemony's dignity came during their most sacred annual ceremony. As High Commander Volthak began his traditional speech about the Empire's mighty destiny, someone in the crowd started a wave. To the horror of the old guard and the delight of everyone else, it spread through the entire assembly, including several members of the Imperial Guard who thought no one would notice them participating. Perhaps, Admiral Lee mused, watching the footage, the best way to defeat an empire isn't to destroy it. It's to make it too embarrassed to continue being an empire. As reports of singing protests and comedic resistance poured in from across the galaxy, one thing became clear: the hegemony could survive military defeats, but it was completely defenseless against the power of collective laughter. The hegemony's final assault on Earth began with what they thought was their ultimate display of power. 1,000 ships emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with fresh paint and their weapons charged for maximum intimidation. What they didn't expect was to find the Earth Defense Fleet waiting for them, performing synchronized swimming maneuvers in zero gravity. "Welcome to the final episode of Keeping Up with the Hegemony," boomed the now familiar announcement across all frequencies. Today's special final is brought to you by Dave's Pizza, now delivering to 17 star systems. Admiral Wong watched from the bridge of the EDF Laughter as the Hegemony Fleet's perfect formation faltered in confusion. All ships, commence Operation Last Dance. Earth's defenders had prepared something special for this moment. Each ship activated its colored running lights, creating a disco ball effect against the backdrop of space. "Stayin' Alive" began playing on all channels as the human fleet started their carefully choreographed battle routine. "Sir," Lieutenant Park reported, trying to keep a straight face, "they're demanding we take this seriously." "Oh, we are serious," Wong grinned. "Hit them with the dad jokes." The radio channels crackled to life. Why did the Hegemony cross the galaxy? Because their GPS needed updating. The alien fleet's coordination began to break down as their younger crew members could be heard trying not to laugh over the open channels. Their rigid battle doctrine had no protocols for dealing with enemies who treated space combat like a dance party. "They're charging weapons," Park announced. "Perfect. Time for Phase 2. Release the memes." Every screen across the Hegemony fleet suddenly filled with cats in space helmets, dancing aliens, and years' worth of accumulated galactic jokes about their empire's obsession with dramatic ceremonies. The final battle for Earth turned into something unprecedented in military history. A contest between the Hegemony's attempts to maintain dignity and humanity's determination to make them laugh despite themselves. Earth ships darted between enemy vessels, their maneuvers following popular dance moves. The Hegemony's fearsome dreadnoughts found themselves trying to target ships that were doing the moonwalk in space. "Sir," Park's voice rose with excitement, "3 of their ships just joined our formation." Indeed, a group of Hegemony vessels had broken ranks and were attempting to match the Earth fleet's dance moves, their young crews finally giving in to the infectious spirit of fun. The revolution that had been spreading through the Empire reached its tipping point. More ships began breaking formation, their crews tired of maintaining the facade of imperial superiority. High Command's increasingly desperate orders were met with responses like, "New com, who dis?" and "Sorry, too busy vibing." The final surrender came not with a formal declaration, but with a message that simply read, "Oak, you win. This actually looks way more fun than being terrifying all the time." The aftermath saw the galaxy transformed. The Hegemony's rigid hierarchy gave way to a new kind of society, one where different species could laugh together, share cultures, and admit that maybe being a bit silly sometimes was better than being feared. "You know what the best part is?" Wong mused, watching former Hegemony ships practice dance moves with their Earth counterparts. "They're already planning next year's Galactic Comedy Festival." The former High Commander, now hosting a popular talk show, would later admit, "We spent centuries trying to rule through fear, only to discover that sharing joy is a much better way to unite the galaxy." Earth's greatest victory came not from superior firepower or advanced technology, but from teaching the galaxy how to laugh at itself. The stars echoed not with the sound of battle, but with the music of a universe learning to dance together. And somewhere in deep space, a small probe continues broadcasting on all frequencies. Human culture. Resistance is futile, but totally fun.